Hello musicians, this is Corey Taylor from SkilledMusician.com, where we are helping musicians improve. Thank y'all so much for checking out this video. Now today I have a special treat for you. I did a collaboration with Warren McPherson from Piano Lesson with Warren. He has a huge YouTube channel that's mainly focused on gospel piano music. So I taught a lesson over there on drop 2 voicings, and I wanted to share it with you all. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get started.
All right, so welcome folks. We got Corey Taylor here from Skilled Musicians, who's going to teach us some important stuff today. A lot of you guys have been asking about drop 2 voicing, what it is, how to use it. And instead of me trying to fumble around to show you guys, I got someone who is more skilled in that department as a jazz pianist. Do you have a master's degree or a bachelor's degree in jazz?
Masters
In jazz. So, you know, serious theory and harmony and all that stuff he has gone through. So today he's going to show us, you know, how to use the drop 2 voicing and, you know, share whatever tip he has along that line to help you guys out. Welcome, Corey.
Thank you, Warren. Let me first say I'm excited to be here. This is phenomenal to get to work together. Of course, I've followed your channel and learned a number of things from how you've structured your material and how you engage your audience. It's phenomenal. You have a huge audience, so this is a dream come true kind of for me.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So, I want to jump right in. Drop 2 voicings. What
is
are
drop
they?
2? What does it mean? What is that? What is that?
Okay. All right. So kind of a higher level view. Drop 2 voicing is it's simply a voicing type. And so I'll explain it. Drop 2, let's say we're taking a major 7 chord. So C major 7. And so drop 2 simply means take the second highest voice and drop it an octave. So, and when we say voice, we mean note. So the second highest note. So B is the highest note here. So the second highest is G. We're going to take it down an octave and play it with our left hand. And so we end up with this kind of 3 notes in the right hand and 1 in the left. Now a lot of organists, gospel organists, will do 2 in the left hand and 2 in the right. So that's kind of an organ technique, but for piano, it's more 3 in the right hand, 1 in the left. Now this drop 2 voicing all came about, it was an arranging technique. So in the big bands, swing bands of the 1940s, 50s, 60s, they're looking for different ways to harmonize, like a saxophone section, for example. You have 5 saxophones going, and so you had to figure out how to harmonize it, and you can harmonize straight down. But then that has a particular sound, but another way to make the melody stand out is to remove the competing voices around it. So the melody stands out there, bring it down here, and you hear that melody a little sticks out clear versus.
So a question that I'm probably sure a lot of folks thinking: can you use drop 2 voicing on like triad chords?
Yes, and it's the same principle. And so if you're first learning this, start with the triad. So you just take a simple C major triad and here. And you notice, so this kind of fingering, so then in the fingering, you know, it'd be 2 notes in the right hand, 1 in the left. But as you move around, this sometimes changes. So now I have 2 in the left and 1 in the right, as you kind of invert this around.
And all of those are still drop 2s?
Yes. So I'm taking the second highest voice, which in the case of a triad would be the middle note. So if I'm playing C major in root position, the E comes down. If I'm playing C major in first inversion, the G comes down. If I'm playing C major in second inversion, the C comes down. So
if you're playing just like a basic 1-6-2-5 triads, how would you play that with drop 2s?
Okay, so just all triad basic.
Yeah.
So let's see. and one chord. Let's see. So here's C major, right?
One.
And then 6, 2, 5.
So when you're playing drop twos, you're not thinking in terms of, oh, I got to play my left hand bass and none of that stuff.
No. So you're not at all thinking about bass. So it's a completely different way of looking at playing the piano. So often when we think, example like you said, 1 6 2 5, we're thinking left hand bass, a root, right? And we're thinking, so we play like this, right? But in this case, sometimes your drop 2 voicing will be so for instance, if I take C, second inversion, the middle note is C. So it looks like I'm playing the root. But if I'm in root position.
So then you have the third.
Yeah. Or if I'm in first inversion, it's G. So it can be, if you're looking at the piano, especially if you're trying to look over my shoulder and say, hey, what is the root? And you see me going, and I'm playing the E in left hand, it can be confusing. And musicians like, wait, what's happening? I thought the chord was C major. And it is. I'm just playing it in drop 2. So then what you can do is, once you become familiar with every inversion, you can play. And so let me just play that same progression, but now I'm going to try to not move around. So I'm not trying not to jump around. So So here's my first one. I'll start here. C major. Here's A minor. Still E in the left hand. Do you see that? So I still have the notes A, C, E, but now it's like this. So C, E, and then so now I play it and not really moving.
Now let's hear what that same progression sounds like with sevenths.
All right.
1 6 2 5 with sevenths.
So now it's going to be a little different. Well, it's the same concept, but 1 3 5 7. So I have 4 notes. So the note I'm dropping is right.
Penultimate.
All right. So let's start. Let's do here. So I don't have to jump around much. So C major 7.
1.
A minor 7.
6.
2, 5. And so, you look at this chord and you're like, what is happening there? It looks completely foreign. I mean, especially if you're used to.
It doesn't follow the third stacking.
Yeah, it's. If you're used to kind of this, and then all of a sudden someone plays, you hear the sound and it's close. But you know something is different. Something different is happening, and of course it looks like an alien chord. This kind of deal. And then some people will kind of say, okay, I think I understand it. Or you got a fifth in your left hand and a fifth in your right hand, and that's what you're doing. And it's like, no, you're trying to grasp at it.
It's not intervallic bass.
Yeah, it's not that. It's just simply C major 7. Take the highest voicing down. So.
So a sort of 2-step process that we can look at it from a student perspective is, the first step is you decide what inversion you're going to use.
Exactly.
So it's not about, it has to be root inversion or second inversion or third inversion. Is you decide the inversion you want to play. And then step 2 is you take the second highest voice, drop it in the left hand.
Exactly.
Sweet.
And let's see. I have a lot to share, so hopefully I can get it all in the amount of time. So I'm over here holding myself back because I want to just.
I'll let you run with it.
So I'll just kind of preview this, but you kind of hit on it. The first decision you have to make is what voicing, what is your melody, what inversion you want to use, and so the question, and how do you choose which inversion should I use? If I have what is the defining principle or guideline for what inversion, and for this, I'm giving you my secret. This is the secret to all my playing, and it's melody.
Melody.
It's melody.
Melody's king, guys.
Yes. So melody is the secret sauce for choosing the version I want. So when you said 1625, you know, I could have started there, and so immediately as soon as I start here, so I just picked a random starting place. I said, okay, I'll start here on this one, but immediately I start hearing melodies, and so in my head I'm saying. So now I hear. And so that's maybe a little complex, but in my head, the point I'm trying to make is I'm hearing these melodies happening, and so that's what's deciding which inversion I use. I could just say I'm gonna play everything root position, you know, and go. But that doesn't make for great voice leading and pleasing sound, even if it's the right chords.
So if I may interject, so there's two things that's happening when you're playing these kind of voicings. One, you're either thinking in terms of counter melody. No, we don't just play isolated progressions unless you're playing like talk music. But if you're accompanying a singer, choir, band, you're either playing what we call counter melody, like something to supplement the actual melody, or you're playing the actual melody of the song.
Exactly.
So it's one of those two things that's going to determine the voicing of the chord. Do you have a song example you want to show us?
Sure.
Something everybody knows.
How about I do Amazing Grace all the time. So let's try.
It's go too easy.
it is. Let's try another. Let's do I Surrender All. I can do Amazing Grace. I do that one. And maybe I'll do both. Let's do I Surrender All, and I'll just stay. Yeah, I'll do the melody.
All right.
And I'll stay in the key of C. Right. So the melody. That's the melody, right? So first I'll just play it, just kind of with root in the left hand, and just to try it, so make sure we have it. Now here you got options, you know. There's tons of options.
What about we use the 3? Use the 3.
Oh man, I'm sorry. So this is one of the things also. How do you maneuver a song with so many options? And just you have your defining principle, your guidelines. For me, it's melody, and so I'll just try to stick there. But there's more defining principles.
Just take the first half.
Let's see. So I'm drop 2 now. So I have C. Now some people would say, "Oh, you're playing the root in your left hand, and you're just playing." No, I'm playing C major, drop 2. So. Some of my advanced guys.
Ooh, I like that one. That's a nice. I don't think I've ever used that chord in that song before.
Yeah,
I'll be sure to put that into the bank. The chord bank. I just got it.
yeah. So let me see. Let's cover just real quick 3 different options there, and so we'll and so let me just give you all. So you said E. So you said. Maybe major or dominant 7. All right. So if I was to go to 3, so now 3, the melody is D. So I'm always keeping the melody on top. So that's there, and I'm doing 3. That's E minor. Or are you referencing C over 1 or E minor? Am I playing what you said?
Oh, it's E minor. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So E minor 7, so that means the B is going to be in my left hand. So let's try it again. All right, and then Ren. So now Ren. Sorry, Ren. That's going by E7. So you see E7. I'm going to invert it up. E7. So that means the D comes down to the left hand. All right. All right. So let's just try those first few chords again. So I didn't talk about this one, but this is just F, right? And I'm bringing the C down. So I have this pedal tone in the left hand, but it's not a pedal. I'm not thinking pedal. I'm thinking drop two.
Drop two. See, I'll be thinking pedal.
See, but the giveaway, Warren, but you would give me full chords, right? So in that case, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. It is pedal. But in this case, you see, I've opened it up. So
nice 6 going.
So E minor, then E7. Now
that
let me
like a sharp 11 chord.
Yeah.
That's voicing sharp 11.
Yeah, you can think of it like that. You can think of it like that. That's not like that. But now watch this. I'm gonna add one more chord before the A minor. I'm gonna go diminish. So we have E minor, E7, diminished. So I'm gonna call this.
You go back to that beat in the left hand.
Yeah. So let's see what it is. Exactly, the B in the left hand, and then A minor. All right. So let's try a different route. So let's see. Let's try it again. I'm doing some other stuff. I'm gonna just go back to what I did. Sorry. What did you say? E minor, and then E7, diminish. So if we look at the left hand, if I just play the left hand by itself without the right hand, we get this. Oh Jesus, right, which is kind of weird, right? But that's exactly what it is. Now let's take a different option. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, to Jesus. Let's go B minor 7. So let's go E sus, and then E7 flat 9. All right, let me get carried away. So this time instead of going F, I'm going D minor C, C, D minor C. And all I'm doing is thinking about the melody. So B minor. Now I have the root in the left hand, but that's just because here's my B minor chord. Let's make a root position. Let's invert it down. Let's invert it down again. So here's B. This is the chord, but I'm taking the second highest voice. So the second highest note is B, so that goes there. All right, so here goes. Let's go sus. Right.
That's straight up chordal harmony right there.
Yeah. So I have a 4, 4, 4, and then a 5th on top. So you can think of it like that, but let's bring this drop 2 back up here, so we get this.
It's a sus.
Yeah, just simple sus.
So by moving one note, you get all kind of stuff going on.
Yeah,
you get that chordal sound. And it's
exactly.
also a drop 2.
Exactly. So.
So cool.
Right then. All right, and then the great thing about drop 2, and not to get ahead of myself, but the great thing about it is that you can go from like normal big voicings that you like to play, you know, like something, you know, and then so you mix it in. And it becomes part of the tapestry of your playing. Now I'll say, so I'll be honest. About 12 years ago, I never used drop 2. It wasn't even a consideration. I never used drop 2. And then I discovered it in being in jazz studies and studying that. I found it there. And then once I started playing it, I realized that some of the sounds I was trying. What's that?
It opens up like a new world.
Yeah, it opened up a new world for me, but it was kind of like this. You know, when you buy like a new car and you think you're the only one that has it, And then as soon as you buy it, you drive and realize, wait a minute, they have it. They have the same car. So I found, like, as soon as I started playing this sound, I realized the best players, like the first guy I really heard do it, I was like, oh, Mike Burrell is using the same stuff. Oh, Jason Wright too. Oh, wait a minute. Like all these top tier players are all using the same kind of voice. Yeah, they're all using it. Yeah, all are using it. I was like, wait a minute. All right, so then it kind of, but it's kind of a little bit of an advanced technique.
Very advanced.
And so you're not gonna, so you're not gonna hear it in like, you're not gonna hear it in like a traditional setting. You're not gonna hear it when you're coming up the ranks. But the further you get up, the more you start hearing it. And it's like, oh, and it's a completely different way of thinking about harmony. Instead of root and chord, you're thinking it's a different sound.
So a question that a lot of folks might have is, do you play an entire song using drop two voicing?
So that's a great question. Great question. When do you use drop two voicings? The key is, where do you want the melody to stick out? And there are a couple ways to accomplish that. But let me just say this. One, if you're playing by yourself, so there's no one else playing, you don't have a bass player, then maybe 40% of your playing might be drop two, and 60% might not be, might be normal rooted playing because you're by yourself. Now, if I have a bass player that's playing along with me, then I don't have to worry about covering the bass. So then for me now, 75 to 80% of my playing is drop two, and then the other 25 to 20% would be normal chords, as the way we think of them.
Another question. I got a whole lot of questions because I get them coming in my inbox. You know, what is the difference between drop two voicing and rootless voicing?
That's a great question. So rootless simply means without the root. So let's look at C major 9. So here's the C major 9, right? So to play rootless, I just simply take off the root, which is the C. So say for instance the bass guy is playing that down there, the bass player. So I just play rootless. So I'm not actually playing the C, the bass player is down there, or the organist has it in his foot, his or her foot. So that's rootless, meaning without the root. But you know, this chord drop two would be, so you see I took the B, which is the second highest note, and dropped it down here.
So it would still be a form of rootless voicing. It's just not in the traditional sense. Yeah.
Now, if you want to get technical, rootless means without the root. Period. If you're that guy, then we still have the root there. However,
it's no longer the lowest note.
Yes, no longer the lowest note. And most of the time, colloquially, we think rootless meaning you don't have the root on the bottom. So in that case, very much so. You know, when you're playing like this, you don't have the root, so that's drop two. But yeah,
that's rootless. So you know, it's a subtle distinction. You know, we have the general bucket of rootless voicing without the root. Period. Boom. But then when you inspect the chord a little bit more, you're going to realize that the drop two voicing shapes differently, sounds differently than a standard, rootless voicing chord.
And so, for instance, let's say, so the question, but here's an interesting question. If I'm playing C major, just a regular old triad, second inversion, and I drop two, am I playing rootless or drop two? Well,
so drop two voicing can also have the roots.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
But it's not considered a rootless voicing. It's just it can and it cannot have the root in the left hand.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Very cool. What else you got? What else you want to run by us?
Let's see. I have quite a bit, and so I don't want to go too long.
Well,
but
Bullet points.
All right. So let's say this. Okay. So the question is, Corey, how do you practice this? So I get a lot of students want to know this. How do you practice these things? All right. And so my general framework for practicing anything is 1, in isolation, and then 2, in harmonic environment, and 3, in a melodic environment. So let me explain what that means, because that sounds complex, but it's not. All right. So the first thing, in isolation, means practicing it by itself. Like, can I play C major, just simply a triad? So it's by itself. Can I get to quick? But can I? Let's say, can I do that drop 2? Can I do it with major 7s? All right.
So step 1, you can start with just going through inversions in drop 2.
Exactly.
That's a good one.
And actually, in the description box, there'll be a link where you can download a one-page sheet music that kind of shows these isolation practices for each of the 5 different chord types. And so, 5
links, folks, in the description.
So the 5 different chord types would be, I do all major 7s because everything else is kind of derivative of that. So I don't start with triads. Triads are pretty much easy to see. So if you're a beginner, triads, you can kind of see that pretty clearly. 7s begins to get complicated. So that's the one I chose. 9ths are derivative of 7s, and I'll explain that in a moment. So we have major 7, minor 7. And so it's the same idea. So here's C minor 7. All right, let's start with the triad first. C minor triad. So bring. All right. That's inverted up. All right. Now let's go minor 7th though. Now, I'll be in my own practice time. I used the word brutal, like I was crazed about this, getting it down. So I did every minor chord. So I did C minor 6, all right, which is a different sound. And you hear me use that sound a lot. I did C minor with a major 7th. Sorry, that sound. All right, so let's see. It's a weird sound.
So if you want tension, you go for that.
But even like, let's say,
what about dominant 7s, dominant 9s?
Yeah. Yep. So we have major, we have minor, and these are the 5 basic chord types I like to focus on. Then you're right, dominant is next, and so we same thing. All right. So. All right. And then I do half diminished next. Half diminished is we have the flat at 3rd, flat at 5th, and flat at 7th. So this is a common chord used in progressions, minor 2-5-1 progressions. Like, so if I was in D flat and I'm going to B flat minor, I might go. All right, so this kind of sound. Right, so same thing here. Right. So if I was to use that same progression, like all I did was invert the chord.
Do a 2-5-1 with that going to B flat again.
So let's see.
Drop 2.
All right. So let's see. Here's C half diminished. You can see it like in root position there, but I'm gonna drop 2. And then
when you go to the F7.
Now F, I'm going F7 flat 9.
So you're in the flat 9, drop 2.
Well now, yeah. So yeah.
You didn't.
No, it is. No. So let me just finish teaching this, but you led me somewhere that. All right. So here's how I voiced it.
Okay.
Like looks like diminished, right?
Yeah.
So you can think of it as F7 flat 9, or you can think of it as A diminished, right? And then you've taught on these walk-ups, diminished walk-ups. So let's do that. Drop 2. So, all right. So we have. C minor 6 in there.
C
So it's
minor
not,
6, yeah.
Oh, it's not C minor, B flat minor 6.
B flat minor 6. So this is a world that basically is bottomless. Once you start experiment, because you can, once you get to like your alterations and altered extensions, and you start dropping 2s on those, then that just blow the sound out of the water.
Yeah. So there's 5 chord types for major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, half diminished 7, and then we did diminish as well in that last example.
The full diminished.
So I practice it in isolation, right? And then I throw it in a harmonic environment, and we just actually did a harmonic environment, a 2-5-1 to B flat minor. That's the harmonic environment.
Actual progressions.
Exactly, a progression. Exactly. And so I would start there and say, okay, let's do C major. So we have D minor, then G7, then C major, right? So you could just simply take the chords you do in your right hand. So how would you play a 2-5-1 in C major? You might go, well, then you drop to it. Right, so, oh, sorry. All right, so then maybe let's try like doing like I've worked out in my practice time going up and down the inversions on my D minor chord. You know, I've done every chord type. So say on my 2, instead of just playing it how I would if it was just my right hand, let's try some inversions. So that's a little advanced. All right, so that leads me to one other thing I want to share. Let me say 2 more things. I get like this. I'm sorry. I once I get started, it's
It's what we love, you know.
Yeah. All right. So let me keep it easy so everyone can grasp, because I don't want to go too complex, because we can go down the rabbit hole and become really dense. So I like to practice in isolation, meaning kind of figure it out by itself, inverting it up and down. Then do it in a chord progression, like a 2-5-1. That's the most commonly used chord progression. So why not master it in 2-5-1? And then lastly, I like to do harmonic environments. So let's go back to I Surrender All. I think we did that earlier. So so if I was to harmonize the melody, you know, in drop 2 like we did earlier, I forgot talk about the third route, which was that C major 7 sharp 11.
So take you to the 6.
It's gonna take me to 3-7, like a secondary dominant, so I can.
Okay.
All right, but anyway, so I'm thinking about melody, and so I don't have to play this melody straight. I like to think like I'm a singer, so I might go ba dee dee dee. Let's just take that a little bit. So I say that's. All right, so let's try to see if I can harmonize that. Right, so that's all drop 2. So I'm instead of playing a C major 7, I'm playing a C major 6 now. So I'm just switching between chords and seeing how it sounds. But I can stick with major 7. D minor, C major 7. Let's try C major 6 now. That looks like an A minor, but it's C major 6. Oh, B flat major 7. That's a common substitution in gospel. Instead of D minor, going to it's a what we call a median substitution. So
median.
Right. So what if I did body? Da, da, da. No, let's do that. Da, 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 da. Let's do that. Da, 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 da. So all right. So. Yeah, and so Warren, you sing, and so And so for anybody that sings, like similar to Warren, like it helps. You don't have to be a singer. You can just be a hummer. And just
melody, you know?
hum melodies, hum alterations, embellishments and ornamentations. So you might go ba da 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 da. Yeah. So that's what I do. I'm known for just walking around humming all day and just trying to create lines.
So obviously, as you guys can see, we're just scratching the surface of the possibilities, because everything that you've learned so far, when you combine that with the rootless voicing, it gives you, the drop two voicing, it gives you like unlimited possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Then as he touched on, you can start embellishing your melodies, which opens up more rooms for reharmonization.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you see a guy who's really advanced doing all those stuff, it's not one or two concepts he's working at the same time. It's multiple concepts and routes, and we got to layer. So today you learn a new concept, the drop two. And just to give a recap, the best way to start practicing this, if you're very new, is just take some triad chords, go through some inversions, then put it in a progression, then think it in a melodic environment, and then probably force it, put it in a song.
Yeah, and then song.
Take like a chorus or just a fraction of the verse and see if you can use it. It's something that you have to gradually experiment with. To be honest, I don't really think much about drop two voicing when I play it. Now, it's something I'm going to start thinking about much more, a lot. I understand the concept, but I've never really given it enough thought. But obviously, as you can see, it opens up just so many possibilities. Melody is king, guys. Everything we do on the piano, we make the decision based on the melody. So because the melodies of every song is different, it means the way we approach it is going to be different. And so you always want to make decisions with the melody. Any last words you want to leave with the folks?
Well, just a few things. Well, thank y'all for being part, and Warren, thank you for reaching out and making this happen.
This
is great. Currently, right now, we have some big things coming up on our channel and our website. But currently, we teach 4 big courses. These are like 12-week intensive courses. And so we have the Chords Galore class, which is all things chords. If you're looking to improve your chords, it's 12 weeks, many hours, over 12 hours of material resources. We have our chordal moves and progressions class. If you want to know different moves and progressions, that class. We have our Gospel Foundations class, and then we have our improvisation class. But in our Chords Galore class, we cover drop two voicings, day 1, first part of class 1. And so it starts there, and we get really far. So if you're interested in going even farther with your chords, beyond drop two, we have, and then that's day 1, and we go 12 weeks. It's a tremendous amount of material. So any one of our courses, definitely check out our website, and we have some big new things coming this year over the next month or so. So stay tuned to the channel. Yeah,
Corey Taylor, they're doing some great things too, and very nice YouTube community that they got over there. He does a lot of live streams teaching, so you get to get feedback and stuff they got going on the YouTube channel too. And he's put together a nice downloadable sheet of everything with some of the core concepts we discussed today in the drop two voicing. So click the link in the description below and go check it out. So thanks again, Corey, man, for just scratching the surface of the possibilities of this drop two stuff. I'm definitely going to put this to work, start working on it.
Yeah,
so
man.
Y'all do the same.
Thank you, Warren. Y'all subscribe to Warren's channel. He's phenomenal. Has a ton of material. Check him out.